3 email sequences any business using sales calls can create to boost sales by up to 30%. Hey, I'm Michelle Terpstra, Chief Revenue Officer, and here we are again today with another Ask a CRO. Let's go ahead and jump in to email sequences. The first email sequence every single business needs to have that's utilizing sales calls to make, of course, sales. I like to call it a sales activation campaign. Now, a sales activation campaign is best used when you're using lead scoring within your CRM already. Now, if you're not sure what lead scoring is, go ahead and pop back to one of my previous videos that explains lead scoring. But let's just assume you know what lead scoring is right now, which helps you identify hot leads within your CRM using a scoring system based on their behavior. And let me share with you why this is so important. So a sales activation campaign is typically an email sequence of 7 to 11 emails that are separated by only a day. So typically I like to send them every day. Towards the end, I might space it out a tiny bit, like 2 days for the last 2 emails, but a rule of thumb is every single day. Now, why would you increase your sends to every single day? Now, you might already send a daily email, so this feels really normal, but most business owners I speak to are not sending marketing emails every single day asking people to book calls. And I would argue you've got to diversify what you send via email anyway. You can't always be asking people to book sales calls. Now, this activation campaign, by utilizing lead scoring, allows you to focus on your hottest leads to take them from slightly hesitated to over the edge and book that sales call with you. Okay, so I recommend doing this actually quarterly and investing in professional copywriting for this sequence because it is so absolutely critical. And the reason that we use this is that when we create campaigns for the year, when we plan out our year of how we're going to utilize email sequences in our efforts to either fill events in person or online, to book calls, or to have our leads take some type of action, right? We need to be mindful of what we're asking our prospects to do so they don't get fatigued from the same thing. But at the same time, deal velocity, the speed in which a lead goes from hello to close, is really critical to business health and sales growth. So you can use these activation campaigns quarterly to really take those people who are on the fence over and, of course, into booking a sales call. My favorite time to plan these types of activation campaigns is when I know that I'm either going to be at a live event, taking lots of pictures, doing content, posting it to social, or perhaps I'm going on vacation and I know that I'm going to be really active in my stories and sharing all these wonderful things about my life outside of business. The reason why this is critical is when you're getting this level of cadence, this amount of emails from a brand, especially a personal brand, then you're gonna wanna see like what's kind of on the other side, right? So if you pop over to social media, oh, and here's a pro tip, make sure one of those emails links to some of your favorite highest performing content so it makes people go to social media, because for a lot of people who wanna buy, especially from a personal brand, they're gonna wanna check you out on social media and make sure that you are the real deal. So if one of those emails links you there, this will work even better. Then they're gonna see that you're on vacation, you're at the beach, you're skiing, you're adventuring, like you clearly know what you're doing if you're able to be sending that cadence of emails and then also be relaxing at the same time, right? The other thing is if your business does live events, oh my gosh, that is such authority building. So when people go to your social and they see that that's what you're doing right now and they can see your happy clients that are surrounding you, it's super powerful and you're gonna see a higher conversion rate in your sales activation emails if you time them right to correspond with your authority building on social media. Okay, so that is email sequence number 1. Now, number 2, of course, follows that. So congratulations, like you've booked 30 calls. That's pretty cool. Now, what is absolutely critical is that you have a warm-up sequence for that sales call. Warm-up sequences, I time it based on the day that the call is taking, right? So I get this question a lot. They're like, well, do you send the warm-up sequence every day, every 2 days, every 3 hours? And I say I like to include 3 or 5 emails, and then I use a date-based event in my CRM and my calendar to make sure all of them send within that time frame, okay? Now you might be asking, but Michelle, if they book the call the next day, isn't that kind of a lot of emails? Well, if you typically book calls just 1 day in advance, you may want to reduce the amount of emails. But in my experience, it's typically a couple of days, and I think it's really nice to get the maximum amount of exposure to your brand before someone jumps on that sales call, either with yourself or your team member, okay? On average, it takes about 7 hours of consumption for someone to trust a brand and be ready to purchase. So in this warm-up email sequence, it's critical to link to some videos, client testimonials, interviews, content that really helps you build the trust prior to the call. It is absolutely critical. So I love crushing common objections or buying hesitations. I love sharing client testimonials, and I love to have a sneak peek into what it would look like to work with me and my team. And I set this up for every single business that I help, and I really love it when the CEO gets involved with this type of content, because so many people connect so deeply to the CEO. But something that I love to add in there, if that CEO has exited the sales role and now they have a sales team, is allow your sales team to write a personal email about themselves, their background, why they love selling these products. It will help boost the authority of the sales team member and not just the CEO. Now, if you're wondering, Michelle, where did you get that 7 hours of consumption before purchase? Well, if you take a quick Google, you'll find that it's a really common number. But a bonus tip for today is that I love this book called Oversubscribed. I highly recommend that you take a hot minute and you put that on your list, either Audible or get the real copy. It is super powerful to help you understand how critical it is to make sure that your prospects, your leads, have maximum consumption from you in the least amount of time in order to accelerate the sales cycle. All right, friends, so now we have our warm-up email sequence done and ready to rock and roll. So what is the third one? So the third one is something that typically most businesses get a little lazy about, okay? And it is critical that you still do it. All right. Now, it's the least common one that I see when I go in as a CRO to assess things, including CRMs, automations, funnels, etc. Right? But it's really, really critical. So this is what it is. Now, everybody kind of gets the same objections. Let's be honest. And you know what? I don't really like to call them objections. They're more of buying hesitations, right? So we can overcome, we can address them ahead of time and really make them null and void in most cases, okay? However, while we're building to that level of sophistication in both our marketing, our sales process, and our sales conversations, what I like to do is set up a conditional follow-up sequence that is controlled and activated by the person who took the initial sales call. So if you took the initial sales call and unfortunately it didn't end in a new client, or perhaps you have a multi-step sales process, what can we do once again to increase the consumption of your brand, increase authority and trust until the next opportunity? That's either a future follow-up sales call. Hey, maybe you're going to them in person. Every sales process is different. Perhaps you're trying to do a trial close on a SaaS product. There's so many options here. But if we really think about the top 3 reasons people don't buy from that initial sales call or conversation, you can create content to push them through for the next thing, okay? So for example, let's say, I'm gonna get an example here. Ooh, I know what I'm gonna do. Let's say that you are a social media agency and you, of course, you sell social media services. And inside those services is clearly you're assigning a social media manager, a content creator to the business owner. And this is likely a very high ticket investment. So let's estimate anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000 per month. All right, so that's a significant investment for most brands, especially scaling startups. So I would think, and I bet you're agreeing with me, that the price of that investment would feel very off-putting during the first discovery call. Okay, now perhaps you've already nailed this and you're like, no way, I saw it like hotcakes. Well, good for you, all right? But we're still going to go through all of this right now. What is absolutely critical is after that sales call and whomever took it, either you, the CEO, or your sales team, you need to think like, why didn't this person say yes right now? And if you tag them appropriately, like perhaps post-sales call money objection, then it'll send them through a certain automation that is actually curated and created specifically for that money objection. So it'll help what it is, it's like a sales assistant, right? Like the sales rep doesn't have to think about what to say. The content is already professionally written. It is specific to that objection and it goes out automatically, helping rebook them for the follow-up call or perhaps just preparing for the next follow-up call that is already booked. That is a one use case and I absolutely love it. So I really encourage you to sit down and think about the 3 reasons why people don't buy from you immediately on that first call. Build a sequence, create the tags, and start using this method to dramatically reduce your sales admin time. And of course, close more deals in less time. Now, if you liked this video, give it a like. Throw me a comment. Let me know which of these 3 things I just shared, like which email automation will you set up first, or perhaps you already have them set up. I'd love to know about your success using them. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.